And we're just excited to have her on today's show, and I know you're going to benefit from listening to her. So now please welcome Dawn Pici to the set. Thank you, Dawn, so much for being here.
It is so great to be here, Kathleen.
Yay. Well, I know you've been here before, but every time I'm in your presence, I'm learning something new. So I knew that today would be a great segment and a great way that you can help so many of our WOAMTEC members. So first, for those that don't know who you are or may not have seen you at one of our events or on WOAMTEC, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about Pici and Pici.
Okay. Well, I'm Dawn Pici, and at Pici and Pici, we help companies and individuals gain an unfair advantage over their competition. And that's something we all want. But how do we do it? Well, we help you to increase your closing ratios, we help you to lock in that client loyalty, and we help you to gain quality referrals and leads, which is one of the things that you do so well at WOAMTEC.
Well, thank you. And I didn't pay her to say that. That's pretty exciting. You know, I know that you've worked with a lot of our members, and we have members that are in direct sales. We have members that own their own business. We have members that work for other companies. And I think that regardless of what they do specifically, a lot of what you teach can benefit anybody. And if you're sitting here watching today saying, oh no, I'm not in sales, I don't want to listen to this presentation, trust me, if you're in business for yourself, you're in business to sell. You are in business to make money. So anybody that's in business to make money should pay attention to this presentation. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned, because you do so much work with direct salespeople. First, define what a direct salesperson is.
You know, direct sales is an industry, and we call it the poor man's franchise. All right. Direct sales is a business that I can get into, and I can be in business for myself, but I'm not by myself. So that I'm a distributor for a company. I'm distributing product, I'm distributing a service, but I'm still in business for myself. And of course, there's been a lot of, misinformation about direct sales because there's been some unscrupulous companies and people that have gotten involved, but there are still some quality companies out there, and most of them are very, very good with great compensation plans.
Okay, and you can make a lot of money at it, because I know you personally have been in the direct sales industry. Tell everybody about that.
Well, what happened was I was broke. I sang opera. Yes, if you want to make money, don't sing opera, but for a living. But I sang opera, and my husband was a football coach, and we needed to find a way to put food into our children's mouths, and what we were doing wasn't doing that terribly well, and we got into a direct sales company, knowing nothing about sales, and managed to turn that into a six-figure residual income. We retired from that, but we live off those residuals today, and that's really what you want to do in direct sales. From there, we transitioned, and we said, well, the skills that we have, do they have any marketability in the regular, what I call the real world of business? And what we found out was absolutely. And so then we put together our sales training firm, where we do both sales training and performance management. And with that, we built that to a six-figure income, and we teach other people how to do that as well.
That's awesome, and I know you work with a lot of speakers. So if you're a speaker out there and you want to learn how do you make money at speaking, I know I just talked to somebody the other day that they decided they were broke. Okay, they're not making a whole lot of money, so they decided that they wanted to write a book, and they wrote a book and they self-published it. Well, I've written 9 books. You've written books. We know that you can write a book, and it may make you feel better about yourself being broke, but you got to have a plan to sell it and to make money, and you have to know how to get in front of people and speak to have that product to deliver. So, if you're out there and you're broke and you're not sure what to do, don't just grab the first thing that validates you as an individual. Take a look at what your options may be. And so many people that are in that situation do lean on direct sales because they can't find a corporate job. They're not making money as an entrepreneur. And so somebody says, hey, you can win $1 million and go to Tahiti and drive a free car. That all sounds good to someone that's broke,
Exactly.
But you have to work at it. It's not something that's easy. So what are some of the things that you have found hinder the success of somebody that's, I don't even want to say direct sales, somebody that's in sales?
Anybody who's in sales. Well, there's a couple of things that I have seen over the course of 20 years, whether in direct sales or traditional business, that will absolutely ensure that you will fail. And the first one is to be busy. Now, be busy, but not necessarily productive.
Amen.
Clients come to me and they'll say to me, well, Dawn, I can't figure out what's going on. I'm working. I said, well, how much time of this is productive? Because there's only 3 things that are going to make you money in business. Either you're selling a product, you're bringing somebody into a business relationship with you, whether it's direct sales, you're bringing in team members, or you're instructing people that you work with how to do those things.
Right.
That's it. And what happens is people, what I find with my clients is they go out on social media because you need to be out there.
Right.
You need to give, have some, followers on Facebook and LinkedIn. And then, you pin and you post and then squirrel. I mean, you've shot the morning.
Yep, absolutely.
And so how much of your social media time is going to be productive? And we've got some great speakers here. They're going to be towards the end of our program today who are really going to talk to you about productive social media. So you stick with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing it. And you're exactly right, because all too often people will, whether you're writing a book or a blog, that they'll say, I'm working, and they'll sit there and they'll be working feverishly. And they're avoiding the phone calls because they're fear of rejection. They're avoiding reaching out and meeting a new contact. They're avoiding all the things that they really need to do that are revenue generating for their business. So I'm so glad you said that. Now, what is something else that you have found?
Well, you were just talking about revenue.
Okay.
I think a lot of people who are in business don't know how much it's costing them to be in business. And so they end up spending more than they're making. They jump into a business, and it's so scary because the average business does not make it 5 years. In fact, I think it's something like 20% of all businesses will not see their second birthday.
Wow.
And it's just because I don't know where every dollar is going. How much money am I spending on these products and sample products and my time and the people that are working with me and gas and all that? You've got to get a handle on that. You've got to be a good business person because, see, people, they might be an engineer, and they might be the best engineer ever. But the problem is that, yeah, they know engineering, but they don't know how to have a business as an engineer. So they don't know how to run the business side, and that's one of the things that you were talking about, our speaking business. Mm-hmm. When, people at our speaking school, we don't teach people how to speak. We teach them how to make money at it and how to be a business owner. And that's the critical part. So not spending more than you're making and waking up one day and you've got all this credit card debt and you don't know where it went and you go, well, I guess this isn't going to work for me.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I see happening all the time. So it really doesn't even matter your level of education. I consulted with an attorney the other day that was doing the exact same things, chiropractor the other day that was doing the exact same things. And what I like to teach people is it's really important with your finances anyways to have such a strong hold on it when your business is little that you can handle it when your business is big, because a lot of people wait. They're not using QuickBooks because there's so few transactions, I can do them in my head or I can do them on an Excel spreadsheet. That's not thinking like a business owner. And what you think about, you bring about a lot of times in life and in success. So thank you, great point.
And we've got so many people in WOAMTEC that do bookkeeping that can come along beside you and help you with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know that the other thing that you had mentioned is you were talking about the people that you invest in, the people that you surround yourself. What tidbit or advice do you have for us with that?
Don't invest in Dracula. The Dracula, the people that suck the life out of you. It's really interesting because, especially in direct sales, I want to talk about, because so many times you can waste your time with the wrong people. How do I know the real people from the imposters? And this is something that when I sit with my coaching clients, I sit with them and I'll say, well, how many people are in your organization? And they might say something, well, I got 25. I got 25 whole people. I said, really? How many people were at your last upline event? 4. Well, then there's only 4 in your organization. And this is, if you will understand this, this is gold, because you cannot spend time with people who are not willing to invest in themselves. And and so many times I'll hear, well, she couldn't find a babysitter, or she couldn't find. I said, you know what? If you gave this person 2 tickets to the Super Bowl and it was on the dark side of the moon, they would get off of work, they would find place for their kids. If it's not important enough for them to be at that event, then it's not important enough for you to give your time to spend with it, which means also.
Absolutely.
Well, just a minute. Kathleen, pretend I'm not talking. I want to talk about the Confident Women Conference. Oh. And the reason why I want to do that is Kathleen has planned this incredible event, a 2-day event, all kinds of speakers. And some of you are sitting there and going, I don't know if I really want to go. Are you crazy? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You're allowed to say, I didn't pay her to say that. I don't have any control of this conversation right now.
But it is so critical that you go to an event like this. This is inexpensive, and it is how you can, all these different speakers are there to give you some of these skills that you need to be successful. And of course, the networking is going to be unbelievable. We can meet people from all over the country. There's absolutely no reason not to be there unless you're not serious about business. But if you're serious about business and you're serious about success in 2014, you really need to drop everything and be at the Confident Women Conference in April.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. And
it's important.
And I completely agree. You know, for as little as $49, as much as $99 to have access to that wealth of knowledge and the education and the training, the people that attended the 2-day program last year, the testimonials were unbelievable. I know you'll be there, and I know you're very successful. So if you're willing to take the time out of your schedule to be there, that says something about it. So I appreciate you for saying that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the energy drainers, or the vampires, as you call them, because it doesn't matter if it is your downline, if you're in direct sales, but I do see this quite often with businesses or with people that are in sales. And it could be that photographer or that accountant or that, you know, chiropractor that I mentioned, that they're trying to reach goals that are so audacious, and they're trying to reach these goals with too few leads. So the same principle goes into effect when you're looking at, if you have 1,000 people in constant contact, but you're only engaged in playing tennis or ping pong back and forth with 20 people, you don't have 1,000 customers. You know, you've lost a lot of customers, and you can't reach certain goals unless you work your numbers as far as customers are concerned, because that's how you're going to come up with your annual percentages. That's how you're going to be able to budget and forecast and do things like that. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Well, you know, there's another angle to this too. There's a lot of negative people out there. You know, there's people, sometimes we get into business and there's the naysayers around us that we can't possibly do this. You know, who do you think you are? And some of them are in our family. And we have to shut that off. You know, we have to shut that off. And one of the things I tell people to do is go on a diet. Go on a diet of what you allow to go in your brain. Put in positive every day. Read out of a positive book or a skill-based book at least 15 minutes a day. I don't care what your industry is. And one of the books I love, and I don't sell it, I don't make a dime off of it, but there's a book, The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. If you can get that, and especially pick it up on CD, because he does his own narration, and it is charming to listen to. He gives 7 principles for success in story form. You're going to love it, but you've got to put in the positive, because our world is full of so much negative. There's so many people around us.
That can just drain you. And we all know it. We all know people when we go to meetings and we go to events or we deal with customers that you just leave and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need a glass of wine, or I need to go to bed, or I need something, because they just take so much out of you that you do have to refuel. And I think it's important too to take time. I've started running every day, and I'm amazed at how taking that time for myself, because I wasn't doing it, gives me time to get mental clarity, gives me time to talk to the Lord, gives me time to just focus on just giving myself that chance to refuel myself, which I think is really important. So knowing when to do that, and knowing when you need to separate, you know, from the world, which is important. Now, you also talked about charismatic people.
Yes, charismatic people.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you know, sometimes we get into business and we think, I'll be successful, or I have to be charismatic to be successful. Or like, for instance, in a WOAMTEC event. Well, sometimes people hold back from doing networking because they feel like, I'm not an outgoing person. I'm not, you know, and so does that mean that only the outgoing people of the world can be successful? And of course, that's not true. Because business success, networking success, is a series of skills. It is skill-based. And Zig Ziglar said, anything that is a skill can be learned. And so when I think about this, you know, so often, and I see this in direct sales, I see this in networking, I see this in all kinds of arenas where somebody gets involved in a business and people just want to follow them. But then what do the people who are following them do? Because charisma is not duplicatable. And especially if I'm going to be any kind of a franchise business or any kind of business where I want it to operate without me at some point in time. You know, you want your kids to eventually take over WOAMTEC. You want, you know, we all want things to kind of operate without us. We have to have something more than charisma. You know, directors in WOAMTEC, you know, to build your groups, you need skills, all right, because It's these skills, people skills, skills in being able to generate leads, to be able to talk to people. These are the skills that are critical, and that's what I talk about in my CDs.
Oh, well, perfect. Well,
My
tell us
CDs.
about the CD. Because I think you're giving one of those away, right? Prize 3 keys. Is that the CD?
No, that's no, we have 3 keys. What we're giving away is if you go to our website, piciandpici.com, spelled P-I-C-I, A-N-D-P-I-C-I, you can get our 3 keys for building relationships and for building rapport. And this is a free online course, and you can take that, and it will really help you, especially as WOAMTEC members. If you've ever gone to a meeting and you feel like, I feel a little uncomfortable here, how do I do this? How do I, and after I get somebody's business card, what do I do with it? How do I start to build that relationship? 3 keys for building rapport will help you with that.
And you don't have to be a winner for that. Anybody that goes to your website that does that can get that. Okay.
Anybody.
Tanya, note to self, download that on our website because I want to read it. I'm excited about that. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that you share a lot. But let's talk about those people that are around the United States that want to connect with Dawn. I know that she does do coaching and training and consulting and can work with you in different ways. But I also wanted to mention your product. So tell us about your CD.
Well, this is a 6-pack CD pack on success in direct sales. So often people get into direct sales and they crash and burn before they gain the skills necessary to be successful. And this is going to talk about how to work a list. So you have that list, but I want to make the most of it. How do I make the most of the list, and how do I help people in my organization make the most of their list? I share the daily dozen for success in direct sales. It's a 6 CD pack. It's $149 on our site, but for WOAMTEC members, you can get this for $129, and that's tax, shipping, everything. All right, so that's your deal here today. But also, I do some private coaching. I mean, at Pici and Pici, we do on-site sales training to your company, but you can also come to us for a 3-day boot camp. Okay, we have one coming up at the end of March, March 24th, 25th, 26th. And that's 3 intense days. And on day 3, we do something very unique. We get you on the phone with your prospects, and we coach you live so that you can get appointments on the phone. And we get an 80 to 90% success rate for booking appointments on the phone in there.
I think that's awesome, because if you can learn how to book a phone appointment and how to cultivate new leads via the telephone, and you're not hiding behind Facebook, and you're not hiding behind Constant Contact and all those things, you're actually communicating. Everyone communicates, few people connect. So if you can teach them how to connect, that's where you're going to be a game changer and really make a difference. Now, I'm also a big fan of her speaker boot camp. So I know you have a speaker boot camp coming up.
Absolutely.
Because so many people like to be on stage, it's all about me. But they don't have a clue what to do with that information, and they may get an opportunity, but they may lose that opportunity because they don't know how to seize it. They don't know how to take advantage of it.
Well, and what makes ours unique is in most speaker boot camps, they're teaching you how to speak. We're not teaching you how to speak. We're teaching you how to make money at speaking. How do you put on your own events without losing your shirt? How do you negotiate? What are the 6 main funnels of income that you can gain from the speaking and training industry? How do you go after each one of those? So it is a soup to nuts program, and again, it's a 3-day program on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of March this month here in Orlando. But we also do these on private coachings.
Okay.
So you can come to us for a 1 or 2-day coaching, because a lot of folks, they have to work this out, and of course Orlando's a great place to come to on vacation.
Absolutely.
But I have a special because folks like my private coaching, and I do this for businesses, but I also do this for individuals in the direct sales business. And I have a $1,300 coaching package that I'm going to offer, but I can only offer 5 spots, because that's all I have left in my time, for only $500.
That's awesome.
So, and that gives you 4 hours with me face-to-face, either Skype or in person, and then we follow up with phone calls.
I love that, because you and I have talked about this, and one of my biggest pet peeves in this world is unemployed people calling themselves marketing or sales consultants or business consultants just because they're good at sales, or if they were really good, they'd probably not be unemployed though. So that kind of defeats that purpose. But it's one of my big pet peeves, because I talk to people all the time that really don't have a lot of business knowledge, have never built $1 million business, and they don't really have all of these different things, but yet they're giving other people advice. And what I have learned to spot is a couple of different things. The fact that you're willing to give your heart and your time for, what did you say, 4 hours or 5 hours?
4 hours face to face, and then another hour and a half on the phone.
Okay, so 5.5 hours of your time for $500. That's very realistic. That's very reasonable. That's very generous, and that shows your heart. And that also shows that you are successful enough that you can make that offer to 5 people. Where if you have a consultant that's out there that wants to quote you $5,000 for 4 hours of webinar time via Skype, there could be a red flag there. You know, there could be a red flag that you might want to think twice before signing that check. I see people do this all the time. And it's like, oh, did you even ask for their resume, or did you look at their bio? Because I care about your success, and I don't want to see you putting money someplace that you don't need to. Dawn, I can tell you, you will get your money's worth. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure to have you as always. I have one last final question to ask you. Okay, one of the things I hear most frequently when talking to self-employed people, entrepreneurs, working moms from home, different things like that, that they love the most about their job is freedom and flexibility. What does that tell you? What does that mean to you? If you're sitting there saying, I love my job, I love the freedom and the flexibility, and I just don't understand why things aren't coming together, can you give them any advice?
Well, when you're in business for yourself, you get to choose the 20 hours a day you get to work. If you're going to be in business for yourself and you're going to make it successful, so many times people say to me, well, Dawn, you're always out there. You're always training here. You're doing this. We work 24/7, all right? Our offices are in our home, and most people say, well, we have an office in our home. We say we have a bedroom in our office because we spend our time working. You've got to, you know, you can have the skills, but if you don't apply them, if you don't take the time, there's no free ride out there. There's no free lunch. And that's what I love about you, Kathleen. You really live your message. And by the way, if you're in WOAMTEC and you haven't taken your coaching, your free 1 hour coaching with Kathleen, you're a fool. Okay, I'm sorry. You want to do that because this woman has incredible knowledge. She's built a couple of businesses very successfully. Don't miss out on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I didn't pay her to say that either. This is just awesome. No, you surround yourself by good people and you want to share it. You know, you just want to share it because you know that I can offer them something and I know you can offer them something. So it's just a love fest going on right now.